Graeae Theatre Company, in conversation, Mat Fraser and Nickie Wildin. 3 years after the Paralympic opening ceremony, what does the future hold?
Hello, my name's Mat Fraser. I'm a patron at Graeae and I've been working with them off and on since 1996. I'm here today with you to talk to Nickie Wildin, who, along with myself and many of Graeae, 3 years ago, was part of the massive Paralympics 2012 opening ceremony. Nickie, you played Miranda, didn't you? And the last time I saw you, in fact, you were suspended from a wire in your wheelchair directly above Ian McKellen.
Yep, completely, yeah. And then it went on from that, where I got to actually fly out of the stadium and break the glass ceiling, hopefully setting all disabled people free and everyone free, so we've all got the same opportunities. And I think it was watched by something like 70,000 people in the stadium, and 500 million around the world.
Exactly, and it was at a time, wasn't it, that around that time during the Paralympics, disabled people and sport was on the front page of all the major papers for 10 days solid, and on primetime television. I remember sitting down and watching the Paralympic sports every night for 10 days. That was unprecedented.
It was just amazing, and it was great. Like you said, the 10 days after that, I had a couple of interviews the next day on ITV, BBC. David Toole did too. Yeah. We were in local press back home. It was great, and also for the Paralympians. And I think the way that Channel 4 kind of explained the categories as well, people started to understand it and realise that, it is sport.
That's right. It almost felt normal, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not special. It is proper sport.
And when David Weir, the Werewolf, won his third gold medal, the whole stadium and us at home, and indeed the nation, erupted in joy in the way that if England had won the World Cup, which probably less likely to happen, let's face it.
Possibly.
It really felt like everything had changed.
Yeah, it did. It was that real sense of people had got behind the Paralympics, behind the Paralympians. And I was lucky enough to go to the stadium and see some of the athletics and some of the swimming. And just that moment where someone had won and were being presented their medal and the national anthem was playing, the silence as well, the amount of respect people had, and it was...
And national pride.
Yeah,
I don't believe I ever remember seeing that sort of level of national pride when disabled people had won stuff before, ever up to that point. So amazing things happened, but with Miranda literally breaking the conceptual glass ceiling.
Yeah.
Did life imitate art though?
Not really. It did for probably the first week, where you have lots of TV interviews, people want to talk to you about what it's like. There was something, 73, 74 professional disabled performers there, and I know some of them have been, and particularly with the aerial team, they've gone on to do aerial work with Graeae and with other companies. But from what I can think of, no one is on mainstream stage or mainstream television, even. And it's that thing of, we broke the glass ceiling, but did we? Did we break it for those 10 days?
So what's happened in the last 3 years? What have the government done to encourage new Paralympians to go and win at Rio? Let's look at an individual. Let's look at a 17-year-old, highly talented racer who's in a working class family where the dad's just been made redundant, let's just say, and quite typical of a British family. I would have thought. They live on an estate, maybe in, I don't know, Nottingham. How is she going to get to Rio? How's she going to train? What's up?
How does she get to that training? That's what you have to ask the question as well, is how do people initially get to that training? Is there transport? Local transport isn't always accessible. And some people have lost their Motability cars because of the change from DLA to PIP. So people that have had that independence, have been able to go to training and have been dedicated, can no longer get there. Or they're tired before they get there because they've had to walk so long to catch a bus that they've just, missing those opportunities.
So all that big talk from the government about investing in the future of disabled athletes to give, it kind of sounds like a bit like empty talk.
I think so, definitely. And particularly if they're getting rid of the schemes like Access to Work and ILF as well. And, changing the goalposts for the PIP. It's like, what are you doing to us? What are you doing to these people that represented our country, that you were the first people there to go and put medals on them?
Yeah.
What's going on with it?
it seems utterly hypocritical to be on television saying how much, you know, they're proud, nationally proud of these people, to then literally pull the carpet from under them.
Your feet, yeah.
And I mean, the whole transfer of disabled living allowance to PIP, and the whole means testing, and all the awful things that we've, you know, with ATOS, and there's a huge record of the misery that the government are heaping on disabled people in the last 2 years. I don't see how this can encourage disabled athletes. It goes from national pride to national shame in the flip of a coin for me, because it's unspeakable what's going on. What are we going to do, Nickie? I mean, as individuals, I feel a bit powerless. I'll always go and stand to be counted and go there, but what are we going to do?
I don't know. It's a really difficult one.
I think you have to have quotas in an area, in an environment where one particular group of people are not being served really badly.
Yeah.
You know, and if the BBC and the other drama output people in the country making television and film had quotas, it would improve. Yeah. That's never going to be a popular opinion, I know, because it sounds like loony old socialism or something. But
also then I think as well, with regards to that, it shouldn't just be the quotas for those that are making the programmes, but also for casting directors. They should have quotas as well, where they have to see X amount of disabled people, deaf and disabled people in a year, or every so many months, and it's not just got to be for disabled roles.
I know.
Because they need to be educated as well.
We have to have the parts written, and the problem with a lot of writing around disability is that it's bad because it's written by non-disabled people who don't know what they're talking about, who buy into the old charity medical models of disability, and they get it. They're do-gooders. They want to get it right, but they can't help but get it wrong.
But it's interesting for me as kind of like a mid-generation, if I dare say it, that I've seen people like you, Mandy Colleran, where you were on my telly like in the 80s and 90s. Now I've got my generation, which is like Cheryl Lee and Liz Carr, and then it's like, and I remember when I watched you, I was like really fired up. I was like, yeah, brilliant, I want to do this, I want to go on and act, blah, 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 blah. And then you come out of university or training and you go, oh, there's no opportunities anywhere. And I worry now for the younger generation that are there those opportunities there? Because my mid-generation still haven't got them. You guys have really paved the way for us.
Well, you know, it's tough. If you don't have other people coming through the door, it swings shut.
Yeah, completely.
But Graeae are doing their bit. I mean, you know, we've got this new training scheme for 17 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah, the new ensemble.
It's ensemble. And hopefully this ensemble will produce people that want to and demand to and have the skills to be accepted to write, direct, cast things and act.
Yeah.
Because we both know that that's the secret in terms of artistic output.
When I was 18, I suppose, I was looking at going to university, and I remember I hadn't decided to do drama until I started doing A-level theatre studies, because there was no youth theatre back in Gloucestershire that was accessible or would have a disabled person. So doing theatre studies at A-level, I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to do educational psychology. I'm going to become an actor. This has ignited something in me. So applying to universities, I remember going to Northampton and having a look round. And I was using my manual chair at the time. And we bumped into the performing arts tutor, because you're there with the person from like student services, aren't you, looking around? So bumped into the tutor, and the lady introduced me, said, this is Nickie, she wants to do performing arts. And she looked at me, she went, no, sorry, but there's dance modules. I wouldn't know how to mark you in the dance module. So if you come here, you'd have to do something completely different. And at 18, I wouldn't know how to say boo to a goose. I hadn't gone on my journey as a disabled person. Social medical model, I knew nothing about. Yeah. So you just go, oh, okay, maybe I will just do psychology then. But I ended up applying to the University of Glamorgan, which was in Pontypridd, where Tom Jones is from, built on the side of a Welsh valley, the steepest university ever. And they were like, come and have a look around. It's not about us wanting you, it's about whether you think we're accessible enough for you. And I went there for 3 years and I had the best time of my life. And I met some really supportive tutors that were really like avant-garde with their practice and would push you would push me as a disabled person like they would push anyone else. I wasn't just sat to the side. You know, I created my own piece of work called 3 Foot Off the Ground that got taken to the Edinburgh Fringe in my second year. It was, they treated me like everyone else, same opportunities.
So maybe the answer is
in Wales.
In Wales.
Yeah.
Maybe it's up to you Welsh guys to change things. We feel connected.
We do.
We feel connected.
Yeah.
We're in Graeae, and you know, I mean, this company, Graeae Theatre Company, have been so good to me, so good to you, and they pretty much epitomise what it is we need to be doing.
Yeah.
But it's a question of getting the rest of Britain to agree with us.
Completely. If you'd like to know more about Graeae and what they're up to, then check out the website, the details are below. If that isn't accessible to you, then you can email them, info@graeae.org. It'll be interesting to see next year, 2016, what happens in Rio for our Paralympians. Anyway, if you'd like to know more about Graeae and the ensemble and what work they're doing, then go to their website. If that's not accessible for you, then feel free to email info@graeae.org. Thank you.
Graeae Theatre Company, supported using public funding by Arts Council England.